Hello everyone, today is 13th of June. Now it's 9:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is first part of today's update in which I'll share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. Second parts will be published on my Patreon and the Boosty pages, so if you are interested, the links are under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. Of course, you can become a paid subscriber and a sponsor or Patreon of this project. I welcome new members with their open arms, of course. And well, that's been said, let's talk about news now. And first of all, I'll give you this news from RIA Novosti that Admiral Gorshkov, Russian frigate, and also nuclear-powered submarine Kazan entered Havana port. We knew that Admiral Gorshkov was in Havana earlier, like a day ago already, but when it comes to nuclear submarine, there was so many questions, isn't it, on internet, in the media, where that submarine exactly is. And well, we have a answer on that question now. This is nuclear submarine Kazan, while it enters the port of Havana. So there is no need to looking for it no more, at least for next couple of days, while it will stay in Havana. And then I guess it will disappear once again. And by the way, question is how many more Russian nuclear submarines are in Atlantic Ocean in general, and for example in Caribbean Sea at this exact point. Only few people probably know in Russian general stuff about this. So yes, it's official now. These Russian warships are in Cuba, and this is clearly one more strong message from Moscow to Western ruling class, to US ruling class and Biden's administration, that it is extremely dangerous to continue this path of constant escalations with Moscow, because after all, one should always keep in mind that, for example, for Admiral Gorshkov frigate, it will take about 5 minutes to obliterate Washington. Not just White House, but Washington entirely. It will never happen, let's hope, but one should always keep in mind on what Russian warships and on what Russian armed forces are capable in general, because it seems to me that some people, including in the leadership of US, forgotten about it, and they see this world from some alternative universe that they find themselves, where they are some kind of emperors of this world and everyone should obey their orders and stuff. But reality is significantly different. And well, deployment of these Russian warships into Caribbean clearly had to be wake-up call for Western ruling class. Supposed to be a wake-up call anyways, because once again, with hypersonic Zircon missiles, as I said, with the conventional weapons, warhead, it will take 5 minutes to obliterate White House, for example. And it will take also 5 minutes to obliterate entire Washington if the warhead is non-conventional or nuclear, let's say. And of course, Russian nuclear submarine Kazan and other submarines that probably are somewhere there in the Atlantic or Caribbean. I mean, of course, these subs are capable of much more devastating strikes. So one should always keep that in mind. I can understand that Western ruling class, Washington, is trying to downgrade significance of deployment of Russian warships into Caribbean. They don't want to be seen as, to show their weakness, because all military experts know perfectly well that US has no means to intercept Russian hypersonic weapons. US and NATO in general has no means to intercept Russian hypersonic weapons, hypersonic missiles. That's just what it is. So yes, interesting development, and I wanted to start with this news because in previous days I see so many questions in the comment section, and also many other channels were talking about location of the Russian nuclear sub, and no one knew, with the exception of few, and well, now we all know that for next day or two it will stay in Havana. And after that, who knows? Anyways, let's continue. And by the way, also one more topic. I spoke about this during the live stream yesterday on my YouTube channel. It was very nice, interesting chat, community chat, as is always. And well, I spoke about risks of full-scale confrontation between Russia and NATO, including full-scale nuclear exchange. And in my personal opinion, and by the way, I spent the entire my life in journalism, working with the news since 17 years. And if I know anything, probably to analyze big volumes of data and read a big picture based on that. And if my opinion means something, then I will say that even though tensions between Russia and the collective West is very high, I still don't see crucial indicators that we are on the path of full-scale nuclear war. No, I believe it will not happen. It will not happen. Although risk of further increase in tensions definitely there. Most likely we will see spike in the tensions sometime in the future, maybe in next week or two, when Moscow will demonstrate its readiness to use extreme force if necessary, and Moscow will have no option but to demonstrate this. After that, probably we will see gradual de-escalation between the sides. But even though some sort of skirmishes between the militaries are possible, even devastating ones, but still on a local scale, I don't see crucial evidences at this moment, crucial indicators that full-scale confrontation is inevitable. So in my opinion, maybe I am too optimistic in this regards, I don't know, but in my opinion, skirmishes possible, but full-scale war, no. Let's continue so that we can, little calm down, because of course, when you start thinking about full-scale war between Russia and NATO, and when you realize, if you have enough information and you are realizing that in that case it's not just nuclear exchange, but it's nuclear winter and basically extermination of the humanity, of course it will become scary, because it is scary. But yet again, for now, for this moment, me personally, I don't see that nuclear war is inevitable between the sides. RT's report, by the way, another, of course, very important development and news, that Prime Minister of Armenia, Nikol Pashinyan, yesterday during his speech in the Parliament of Armenia, stated that Republic will leave Russian-led military bloc, CSTO, Collective Security Treaty Organization. And of course, this statement made its waves in a blogosphere, in the public, in the general public, in the blogosphere, in the media. And of course, our community probably was not really surprised to hear from Pashinyan this statement, because I spoke about such a possibility so many times in the past, isn't it? That none of us are surprised, really, I guess, but many other people were surprised. I don't know why, and well, things get so bad, I guess, that foreign ministry of Armenia was forced basically to late afternoon, release a statement that words of Prime Minister of Armenia was misinterpreted, and he did not say that Armenia will leave CSTO, which is damage control, of course, because it's on a tape. It's just on a tape when Pashinyan is angrily talking about leaving CSTO on time of their choosing. So it's I guess it's only a matter of time. It's definitely only a matter of time, and Armenia will leave CSTO, and it's also a matter of time when Pashinyan's government, which is controlled, by the way, 100% controlled by Washington, Langley to be more precise, because these people, Pashinyan and his government, they're assets of CIA, and it was known. For me, it was clear from the beginning, from the very beginning of their political career of this so-called journalist. By the way, Pashinyan used to be journalist before he became a politician. But anyways, it is obviously inevitable that Armenia will leave CSTO because these assets of the CIA, assets of the Washington, Pashinyan and his government will do whatever they are told to do by, or ordered to do by, their Western masters. And also, it's only a matter of time. And mark my word, by the way, I spoke about this topic before also, and I will repeat myself, but because I'm 100% sure that it's only a matter of time, and Armenia will demand withdrawal of Russian forces from the Republic. And well, if you ask me personally, I think it will be maybe better if Russian side will withdraw Russian military base from Armenia and Russian border guards before Pashinyan's government will demand Russian withdrawal and then start brag about it, that they force Russians out. That makes more sense to me personally, to not to give Pashinyan this opportunity to demand withdrawal and then brag about, and to act in a preventive manner and just withdraw Russian forces now. And maybe that's exactly what is going to happen. Moscow is trying its best really to still maintain relationships with Armenia, but under such a leadership, by the way, it's just not possible. Under such a leadership, relationships between Yerevan and Moscow, between Yerevan and CSTO will only deteriorate. It's just too obvious. You don't have to be genius of politics or geopolitics to see this. Anyways, let's continue, by the way. And well, TASS News Agency's report here that according to Defense Ministry of Azerbaijan, neighbor of the Armenia in Southern Caucasus region, Russian peacekeepers finished with their withdrawal from Nagorno-Karabakh region. As we all know, during the previous years, there was a military conflict between in Azerbaijan, by the way. Azerbaijani forces conducted military operation to re-establish control over their 7 regions in Azerbaijan that were occupied by Armenia, and also over the Nagorno-Karabakh. Many people don't know that it was not just Nagorno-Karabakh that was controlled by Armenians, but also 7 other regions around Nagorno-Karabakh. And as a result of military operation that Azerbaijani forces conducted there, they re-established control over the entire Azerbaijan, including Nagorno-Karabakh. And during this assault on Nagorno-Karabakh, Russian side sent its peacekeepers in Karabakh to protect local civilians, and several Russian officers and soldiers give their lives by protecting civilians, Armenian civilians in Nagorno-Karabakh. But of course, Pashinyan's government and the Western masters of the Pashinyan government and their propaganda outlets are never mentioning this. All they do is create picture. They're definitely trying hard to create this fake picture that Russia did not support Armenia, or CSTO did not support Armenia, while not Russia, not CSTO had no legal means to intervene militarily in this conflict, in this military operation that Azerbaijan formally was conducting on its own territory. Azerbaijan did not attack Armenia, did not declare war on Armenia. And therefore, as I said, Moscow and CSTO had no legal basis to get involved. All Moscow could do is send its peacekeepers, and that's exactly what was done. And the Russian peacekeepers are now out of the Nagorno-Karabakh. I remind you, dear friends, that even though Nagorno-Karabakh declared independence from Azerbaijan about 3 decades ago, Armenia never recognized independence of Nagorno-Karabakh. Never. If Armenia did recognize independence of Nagorno-Karabakh, then if it was a referendum holding Nagorno-Karabakh to join Armenia, and Armenia received this region in its recognize this region as a part of Armenia, that's a whole different story. But it didn't happen. It didn't happen. Armenia itself, basically Armenian government itself, did nothing to protect Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh or to protect Nagorno-Karabakh unrecognized republic, self-declared republic, which is no longer exists, by the way, at this point, because Azerbaijani forces are in full control of this region. And yes, as I said, according to Azerbaijani Ministry of Defense, Russian peacekeepers withdraw from finished their withdrawal from Nagorno-Karabakh, and well, unfortunately, Nagorno-Karabakh is basically empty now, because vast majority of local Armenian population choose to flee region and look for safety in Armenia or somewhere else. They were unable to trust Azerbaijani government that they will be protected. Although, by the way, Baku, official Baku, which is capital of Azerbaijan, of course, quite a number of times made statements that rights of Armenians in Nagorno-Karabakh will be protected, but yet again, majority of local Armenians did not trust Baku for understandable reasons and flee the region. TASS news agencies report that this morning, early hours of this morning, Russian air defense systems shut down 3 drones over the Yaroslav region of the Russian Federation and 1 drone over the Vladimir region. Well, yet another attempt of Kiev regime to strike deep inside Russian territory, because none of these regions are bordering zone of special military operation. No reports at this point about casualties on the ground or more or less significant damage. If any update on that, of course, I will share additional information on my Telegram. TASS news agencies report also that during the battles for Novomikhailivka, Russian armed forces destroyed 233rd Brigade of Ukrainian Armed Forces, brigade that was known as ultra radicals and basically murderers. They did not care. Soldiers of this brigade did not care. They were killing whom? Civilians, non-civilians. They had a nickname Galavarezi. How you say it in English, Galavarezi? Thugs, by the way. They were acting as a thugs, basically, and that brigade was almost completely destroyed during the battles in Novomikhailivka direction, which is, of course, South Donetsk sector of the front line. Let me show you on the map. Battles for Novomikhailivka was continuing for quite a while, by the way. So yes, if we zoom out, so this is Crimea, of course, this is Kherson, Zaporozhye region, and this is South Donetsk sector, and Novomikhailivka is here on the south side from Marinka settlement. and southwest from Donetsk city. So interesting news that this brigade was decimated basically by Russian forces. Also, Lentarus report that, well, head of Ukraine's main intelligence directorate of their defense ministry, Kirill Budanov, who is wanted, by the way, who is in a wanted list in Russia, and he's declared designated as a terrorist in Russian Federation. So this criminal, Kirill Budanov, confirmed basically information that Kyiv regime is using Western long-range weapon systems to conduct strikes deep inside the Russian territory. Of course, this information didn't come as a surprise to any of us, but well, this is official confirmation, so therefore I decided to share this information. Only few official confirmations we had about use of Western long-range weapon systems for strikes deep inside Russian territory, and this is one of them. And dear friends, before I continue, let me remind you, if I may, that this small media project of mine is completely subscriber funded, and if you like this project, if you like my channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram, if you find it informative, useful, interesting, and if you think this channel should exist, this media project should exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, this is Boosty site, by the way, or by subscribing to my Patreon page, and well, all the links of course are under this video in the description box. And let me spend a few more seconds on Boosty page here, because it's something new for many members of our community. This platform is extremely popular in areas of former Soviet Union, in republics of former Soviet Union, I guess in worldwide also, but many members of our community were asking questions. What is the Boosty? How it works? Well, it's I mean, it's a mix of Buy Me Coffee and the Patreon. So you can donate to a creator if you want to, but you can also subscribe to their channel. And here, by the way, you can see I'm publishing second parts of the daily updates. Last several days I start publishing these second updates here and also on the Patreon. And as I said, by the way, quite often I share some non-political content, some photos here on Boosty, and on Patreon I have of course video content also. And I will try to have similar content for paid subscribers on Patreon and the Boosty. And I need to develop both channels, both pages, of course, Patreon and Boosty, because who knows, man? Who knows? YouTube may delete my channel anytime, and the only means of communication we will have left is Patreon, Boosty, Rumble, and Telegram. So yes, I spoke enough about this topic. If you like my work, as I said, you can. I will be, immensely grateful if you will support this project of mine. That may give me opportunity at one day to build something more interesting from this tiny media project. Let's see. TASS News Agency's report here, by the way, that well, defense ministers of the NATO member states will made a combined decision on 13th of June, today, about allocating another 40 billion US dollars for Ukraine, for military needs of Kyiv regime. So this 40 billion, according to this report, supposed to go on into pockets of military industrial complex in the West, in the US in general, because this money is supposed to be spent on weapons for Kyiv regime. And also we have RBK News Agency's report that simultaneously, by the way, G7 is preparing, and already there are some preliminary agreements reached between the G7 member states to allocate $50 billion for additional $50 billion for a Kyiv regime as a credit, and the guarantees for this credit will be Russian frozen assets, profits from Russian frozen assets. So according to this report, G7 countries have agreed to basically start stealing Russian assets. Not really surprised. Not really surprised. It was expected, and well, I guess in upcoming days we will receive official statements from G7 member states that they are beginning to steal Russian assets. They will formulate sentences a little differently, but it's gonna be stealing anyways. No matter what words you're gonna put there, it's a stealing of the something that did not belong to G7 countries. It is what it is. And of course, more these kind of steps will be made by Western ruling class. More isolated collective West will become from the rest of the world, and more stimulus will be generated for BRICS to create as fast as possible alternative financial and the banking system that is so needed in a modern world, to no longer be so that the world is no longer forced basically to be rely on Western financial and banking system that has no alternative right now and is weaponized immensely by Western ruling class. Anyways, let's continue. And this is also interesting news, by the way. I spoke about it in a second update yesterday, I believe, on my Patreon and the Boosty. This is information from Slovakia that former military leadership of Slovakia may get charged for treason, and they may end up under investigation, being investigated because of their decisions they made to allocate to transfer 13 MiG-29 fighter jets from Slovakia to Ukraine, worth of 500 million euros, by the way. These 13 MiG-29s, I guess, were modernized, and these planes were given not just as airframe, but I guess also weapon systems were delivered to a Kyiv regime for these planes and some other necessary assistance. Well, current leadership of Slovakia is not happy about it. I remind you, dear friends, that after recent parliamentary elections, when new government of Fico was created, new defense minister of Slovakia openly stated that country is effectively demilitarized by previous government because the country has no means to defend itself. Almost all weapons that Slovakia had was transferred to Kyiv regime, including its air force. And well, let's see how far this process will go, but I wouldn't be surprised at all if not just the former defense minister of Slovakia, but some other high-ranking officials will also end up in a prison for treason that they committed, because demilitarizing country and leaving country and the public society, citizens without protection, that's clearly treason. So interesting news. And by the way, I guess Slovakia is not alone in this regard, because one may argue that current government of Germany, government of Scholz, Chancellor Scholz, is also quite effectively demilitarized Germany, and even high-ranking military officials in Germany are now openly saying that Bundeswehr is not really in a position to be as effective as many would like. And there are constantly informations coming in from Germany that some reforms should take place and more funds to be allocated for defense ministry and more weapons to be bought and brought. And also there are talks about conscription, because German army is experiencing some shortages in manpower, like many other armies among NATO member states. So yes, it's not just Slovakia, but other countries, other NATO member states also quite effectively being demilitarized by their own governments. RIA Novosti's report here. Oh, I already spoke about this arrival of Russian warships into Cuba. Lentoru's report that, well, this is also interesting, dear friends, that few days ago rumors start circulating on internet and even some publications that Georgia and Russia are in talks to resume diplomatic relationships that were cut in 2008 after Western ruling class and Western-controlled Saakashvili regime in Georgia provoked military conflict with Russia. Initially, the Saakashvili's regime reignited civil war in Georgia by launching military operation in South Ossetia. And during that initial stage of this military operation, Saakashvili's regime authorized fire to be opened against Russian peacekeepers, and of course that was a war crime and act of war against Russia. And Dmitry Medvedev was a president at that point in 2008, and he authorized military operation to be conducted. And there was a military conflict between Russia and Georgia for several days. And after that, diplomatic relationships was cut between sides, and Georgian opposition media, so-called opposition media, Western-controlled media, start spreading information that Tbilisi and Moscow are in talks about re-establishing diplomatic ties, diplomatic relationships, and well, when I hear this information, I was kind of skeptical, but still I was hoping that maybe it's true because it will be beneficial for both sides. Of course, this Georgian opposition so-called media start sharing this information to create some internal tensions in Georgia, to state that, look at the government, they are traitors, they want to establish diplomatic relationships with Russia. And this group, by the way, this Western-controlled media, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, and so-called oppositions, political oppositions, their basement is a demonization of Russia. That's their base. From the beginning, they always try and use any means they can to demonize Russia, and they wanted to use this topic to demonize not just Russia but also current government of Georgia. To blame them that they are somehow they are traitors. Those people are intellectually bankrupt, by the way, in this so-called media in Georgia and the so-called opposition. They're too stupid, really, uneducated scum, and they don't really care about Georgia or Georgia's society's best interests, and that's why they were thinking that public will receive this information negatively, when in reality public is okay with rebuilding relationships with Russia. But unfortunately this information is not correct, because Russian Foreign Ministry reacted on it and denied this claim of this so-called opposition Georgian media that Moscow and Tbilisi are in talks to re-establish diplomatic relationships, which is sad, by the way, I will say, because I believe there is a huge potential to not just to re-establish diplomatic relationships, but to deal with the issues that were created between two countries by previous governments in Georgia, for example, by regime of Saakashvili, let's say. And we can go even further than that. During the Gamsahurdia, first president of Georgia, well, there was some issues created between Russia and Georgia, and Yeltsin was at the time in Russia president, and he did not really care much to maintain working relationships with Georgia. Georgia's government at the time did not care much about it, so this destruction of the relationships started way long ago, man. It's like some 30 years ago. Well, of course, current government of Georgia has nothing to do with it. It just had to deal with the consequences of these destructive policies of the previous governments. And still, by the way, it is possible to rebuild relationships. It is possible to deal with the issues that are distracting, further improvement of their ties between the sides. And I mean, hopefully sometime in the future we will see diplomatic relationships being resumed between sides. It is necessary, and I believe, by the way, main reason for now for these difficulties in relationships is that Russia recognized independence of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, and both these republics, by the way, used to be autonomies in Georgian Soviet Socialist Republic during the Soviet Union era. And well, I believe Moscow would not be against if Tbilisi will initiate talks with Tkhinvali and Sukhumi, capitals of South Ossetia and Abkhazia, to create a confederation, let's say, new country of the equals, new union of the equals, confederation. And of course, it's not gonna be easy task. It will take time. Negotiations will be very difficult, but I believe there is a potential there to end this conflict between Tbilisi, Tkhinvali, and Sukhumi forever, and to create a basement for peaceful development for all three, and also between possible new country confederation and Moscow. And I don't see reason why Moscow will oppose that, really. So, as I said, man, there is a way to move forward. It just need to be paid attention to this topic from all the sides. Anyways, let's continue. How long is this update? It's 37 minutes already. Okay, at least I will go through headlines before I start recording second part. And well, Kommersant newspaper is reporting that Russian president declared open basically yesterday via TV link sporting games of the BRICS games, which will take place in Kazan, capital of Russia's Tatarstan Autonomous Republic. And by the way, probably many of you noticed that Kazan, capital of Tatarstan, is playing more and more important role in Russia, and as a major city in Russia and in the world stage, because so many international conferences and events being hosted by Kazan, which is great. And yes, this BRICS games will take place in Kazan, and athletes from 100 countries, by the way, will compete in different disciplines, in different sporting disciplines, which is great in the situation when so-called International Olympic Committee is corrupt immensely and politicized, ideologized, in a situation when many other the so-called international sporting federations are politicized and ideologized. Of course, it is necessary alternatives to be created, alternative sporting events that will be depoliticized, de-ideologized, just as pure sporting events. And I believe athletes worldwide, they are looking for that. They are looking for that because they want to compete with the best. And I believe top athletes are not happy. At least that's how I would feel, that not all top athletes are allowed in these sporting events that are organized by Western-controlled organizations, sporting organizations, just because of their citizenship. For example, Russian athletes not going to participate in upcoming so-called Olympics in France just because they are Russian citizens. I mean, this is crazy, isn't it? This is crazy, by the way, but that's objective reality. So alternative sporting games definitely are needed, and BRICS clearly in a position to create this alternative. That's for sure. And already does, man. It's I mean, 100 athletes from 100 countries will participate, and of course this alternative sporting events will only gain more and more attention in the future. Artists report that U.S. expands sanctions against Russia. U.S. Departments of the State and the Treasury on Wednesday sanctioned 300 additional individuals in Russia and their entities, which is accused of having links to Moscow's war economy. According to Treasury Department, the latest measures target individuals and companies suspected of enabling Moscow to wage the Western embargo. Today's actions strike the remaining avenues for international materials and equipment, including the reliance on critical supplies from third countries, said Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen. This stupid individual is the head of Treasury, isn't it? Does she has even school education? Really? By which criteria this person was appointed in this position? Really, I mean, she clearly acts as some uneducated moron, and she clearly is one, obviously, because intellectual person would understand by now that 20,000 sanctions was imposed in Russia. It did not achieve much. Those sanctions did not really manage to destroy Russian economy, and no matter how many more sanctions they're gonna create, results would be the same. Russia will adjust and even fast track its own development. So it is what it is, man. Biden's administration. I mean, look at the Biden. This disgrace of the humanity. I mean, when you see Biden, and you know that entire his government is same disgrace, absolutely same disgrace. Uneducated, stupid morons and imbeciles. That's what they are, really. And of course, it's not just Biden. His head of State Department. What's his name of that stupid garbage, man? Blinken, that bitch, man. So it's not just Blinken or Janet Yellen, but all of them, man. It's uneducated scum, man. Is in charge, at least formally, of U.S. nuclear superpower, man, and world's, at least formally, still #1 economy. I'm not surprised at all, by the way, that U.S. economy is going down, man, and more people are not happy with the situation there, with the economical situation in the U.S. There is many people in U.S., as I understand, that cannot even afford their fast food no more. So how big inflation really is in US that even fast food is no longer affordable there. And you know why? Because they have such stupid individuals in charge of economical issues like Janet Yellen, head of Treasury. So keep them in these positions, by the way, and you will see further, speeding of the downfall of the US economy. I don't want that to happen, man, because it hurts ordinary humans, first of all, but those ordinary humans should think about reclaiming control over their own country, because right now US citizens clearly are not in charge of anything in US, really. And I mean, US members of our community from US can share their opinion. Are they really making any decisions when it comes to some general global stuff in US, like state of economy or social fabric or foreign policy or whatever? Are they really influencing anything there? No, nothing. They cannot even talk freely, by the way. There are certain states in US that if you say that there is only two genders, like male and female, that's it, because that's how nature wanted, those persons may, lose their jobs, lose their businesses. They may be called different names, man, and bullied extremely. That's what is happening in US. People cannot even talk freely. RTs report that Moscow exchange suspends trading in dollar and euro. The Moscow exchange suspended trading in dollars and euros on Wednesday. The move having been prompted by a new sanctions package unveiled by the US Treasury earlier in the day. So I just spoke about these additional sanctions, and US sanctioned Moscow exchange also. And well, okay. I will say that's even better. That's good for Moscow exchange, by the way, because they were continuing trading in dollars and euros. Why? Just get rid of that garbage, man. Get rid of it. Don't be dependent on US Treasury's decision-making process, in the decision-making process in Frankfurt in Germany. It's a European Central Bank based in Frankfurt, isn't it? Get rid of those dollars and euros, by the way, before it's not too late. So it's all good, by the way. It's all good. Of course, Moscow exchange will find ways to continue its business. And once again, it's not Moscow that started process of de-dollarization. It's Washington that started this, and every other day, more and more steps being made by Washington to further distance rest of the world from its currency, by the way. And well, just a few minutes ago, just before I started this update, by the way, I shared this news on my Telegram, this one here, that well, Saudi Arabia, the petrodollar agreement with US has expired, signaling a major shift in the global financial landscape. MBS announced, MBS is Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia, announced that Saudi Arabia will not renew the 75-year-old agreement that helped preserve the US dollar's dominance in the international trade. The move will allow Riyadh to sell oil in multiple currencies, including yuan, euros, yen, etc., instead of exclusively in dollars. So this is a big blow, by the way, also. And at one point, because of the policies of the people like Janet Yellen and the rest of them, because of their crazy policies, US dollar will lose its value completely. That's what is going to happen. Maybe not completely, but immensely. And I don't know if US citizens are ready for that, but if I was US citizen, man, I would get rid of from those dollars if I had any savings in a bank, and I would buy gold or something, man, of real value. Get rid of those garbage, by the way. If you are US citizen and watching me, just think about it. Don't make decision based on my predictions, but just think about it. Maybe it's worth to reinvest in something else, just not to keep assets in dollars, because your savings in dollars, because dollar gonna get smashed, by the way. I'm telling you. And once dollar will get smashed, I guess euro will follow suit, and US pound also. And it's much safer, if you ask me, to keep savings in gold. Anyways, man, I'm not economist, but that's how I see the situation. That's how I would act, because every other day Washington makes, it's like sometimes I really think, are these people even, maybe these people are assets of some foreign country, because they are destroying US from within, man. Biden's administration is destroying US from within with these crazy policies. So sometimes I think maybe those people are being, I don't know, Chinese assets, man. I have no idea. Or someone else's, I don't know, but they clearly are destroying US, man, from within, that's for sure. Anyways, let's continue. RT is reporting that Putin signs moon station deal with China. President Vladimir Putin has signed a law ratifying an intergovernmental agreement between Russia and China on cooperation in the construction of the International Lunar Research Station. The document, in which President validates a deal first agreed by Moscow and Beijing in 2022, was published Wednesday on Russia's official legal information portal. The ratification law last month passed the lower house of parliament, State Duma, and last week was approved by the upper house, the Federation Council. The agreement to cooperate on the moon station meets Russia's interest because it will contribute to strengthening Russia's strategic partnership with China and will provide for the consolidation of the Russia's leading role in the exploration of the outer space, including in the exploration of and use of the moon. An explanatory note to the law reads. So yes, it's official now. Putin signed this law, and Russian and Chinese scientists and engineers will work actively on this combined project to establish a space station on the moon. And this station should be built for 2035-2036, I believe, according to a roadmap provided by Russian Space Agency. This ILRS, the space station, is expected to become operational by 2035. Yes. With the project divided in several stages, Russia and China plan to select locations for the moon base by 2025, with construction efforts to follow between 2026 and 2035. So, well, good luck with it, by the way. Any success in scientific world in terms of space explorations, I believe, is success for entire humanity. So, well, good luck. Good luck. Sad that US and Russian scientists no longer cooperating in many spheres. And probably will stop cooperating in a space exploration also after current contracts will expire when it comes to ICC, International Space Station. But yet again, this is not Russia's decision, isn't it? It's all collective West, man, Western ruling class that destroys everything that touches. Absolutely everything, man. What a disgraceful garbage those so-called elites in the West really are, man. Disgrace for all of humanity. And somehow those garbage individuals manage to end up in position of power. Maybe because they are garbage, maybe because they are soulless, disgraceful individuals that are capable of everything to reach whatever their goal is, and they are walking on the heads of other people, no matter what. Maybe that's how they reach a position of power. Who knows, man? Who knows? But it's sad to see that Western world is run by such a morons, man. And the Western world is destroyed by those morons also. Unfortunately, societies in the West in general not yet realizing this, but it's so clearly visible from outside of the West. Anyways, I will end this first part of today's update now. Relatively long update, but hopefully you will find the news and my commentary interesting. You may agree with some of my takes, you may don't, but at least we have a platform on which we can change our opinions. And yes, if you find this video interesting, useful, informative, please click that like button and leave some commentary. Yesterday YouTube smashed my update. It barely managed to reach 4,000 views. At least that's what YouTube shows. Maybe in reality it has, I don't know, 10,000 views, but YouTube shows only like 4,000, maybe a little more. So I mean, video help. Maybe we will manage to influence the algorithm today a little better, and the video will be shown in recommendations. Who knows, man? Who knows? So please click that like button, leave some commentary, and if you can, share information about my channel with your friends in real life and on some platforms on internet that you are actively using. And well, finally, what can I say? Once again, dear friends, if you find this channel interesting, useful, informative, and if you think it does deserves to exist, please consider to support with small donations through PayPal, Boosty, or by subscribing to my Patreon page and also Boosty page, by the way. All the links under this video in the description box and in the pinned comment. This is it for now. Have a great day and take care. And well, I will start now recording second part for Patreon and Boosty. Bye.